There's almost too much going on in the world of Magic the Gathering right now. Streets of New Capenna is going to feature Boxtoppers, 10 card set boosters, collector sampler packs that come along with commander decks, and special edition list cards too. And that's not even all the news we're going to cover today.
Magic. I am a wizard! History. I'm an old wizard! The magic historian. My bones hurt.
Greetings! Owners of fine luxury cardboard rectangles, my friends, I hope the day finds you well because we have gathered for a giant load of mega magic news. Open your holes wide because I have a massive meal for you today. Let us start out with the Streets of New Capenna box topper concept. Obviously, this is something that gets people fired up. Box toppers are still a hot commodity in the Magic world. They're essentially like mini super boosters where you're guaranteed to get some card that will be at least reasonably desirable, right? Now, the box topper concept that we saw most recently was the one that was done with Innistrad and featured the Dracula concept. So, they may be doing something similar along these lines because they did mention the box toppers, but they didn't give us any other details whatsoever. So this could be some other kind of tie-in, right? Streets of New Capenna is theoretically old enough that they might have some kind of older tie-in concept that they might want to bring in, or it might simply be the other style of box topper where they take particular cards from the set and give them like a souped up treatment and go, okay, here you go. We've got this particular card from the set, but we've given it this really crazy artwork. You can only get it this way. Or theoretically, the box toppers could be cards that aren't actually in the set and are just something desirable. In terms of box toppers, we don't really have a lot of set rules as to what Wizards could do. I mean, look at what they did with the box toppers specifically for things like the Double Masters, VIP, and all that kind of stuff, right? I mean, you have these cards where you could literally only get them through box toppers in some cases, and in other cases, the box toppers are just regular cards that you can acquire in other ways. So I'm curious to see what's going to come of that, but admittedly, I'm more curious about the collector booster sampler packs, all right? So this is a new concept that Wizards of the Coast is trying out, and they're specifically keying it to commander decks. And by that I mean, when you buy a commander deck, you're going to be given a collector booster sampler pack. Now, that doesn't mean they're including a full-on collector booster like they've done in the past. When they first instituted collector boosters, they had a setup where they were basically giving them away for free. Hey, you buy in a box or whatever, have a free collector booster. And that was a great way to introduce people to them because honestly, opening collector boosters is a very feel-good experience. If you're somebody who enjoys opening boosters like me, you're just looking for the goodness. I mean, first of all, I just love looking at Magic cards. But you know, you're digging through for the goodness. The collector boosters give you that sweet hit of it. So this is going to be a scaled down version. They're going to select a subset of cards from what they would normally put into the collector boosters, right? So the cards you can get in the sampler packs don't constitute the full range of everything that will be available in a regular collector pack. So they limit the cards you can get in it, and it essentially, as far as it was described, only contains 2 cards. You get a foil, common, or uncommon, and then you get a rare or a mythic rare, and it is possible that that card could also be foil or non-foil. So basically you're going to end up with a foil card and a rare or a mythic just tossed in along with the commander decks. And I gotta say, it is a pretty clever way to market the collector concept, right? Because I remember when I first saw collector boosters and I went, oh, this is an expensive product. I don't know how I feel about it. And then after I opened one, I'm like, ooh, that feels good, right? So it actually kind of has that concept, right? I saw somebody else say this, so I'm not going to take credit for it. It made me chuckle. I'm sure a number of people made this kind of comment. But anyways, they went with New Capenna. It makes perfect sense. This is a crime world. So of course, your first taste is free, right? They got the collectibles. Here you go. First taste on us, you know, and then you're going to keep coming back, trying to get you addicted to that cardboard, right? So there is that kind of a tie-in as well. I'm interested to see how this plays out. Does this really lead to a boost in the product overall? And if it's just being included with no additional cost, then I don't really see a problem with it overall. It's just, here you go, here's a bonus. try it out, right? Now, let us move on to the 10 card set boosters, because this is an oddity to me, right? We have 12 card set boosters currently, which is already a departure from the 15 card boosters that we had been accustomed to. So Wizards has slowly weaned us off of the 15 card draft boosters on to these 12 card set boosters, and I have to admit, it's worked pretty well. I like set boosters now more than draft boosters. If I was going to draft, I'd want draft boosters. But if I'm going to open boosters for the enjoyment of it, set boosters deliver a better experience. They come with an art card included in them. You get a foil in every pack. I mean, you do get less cards and you do pay more, right? So you are paying more for an additional experience. But regardless, as far as I'm concerned, set boosters overall are a fairly decent product. Now, the 10 card set boosters are going to be limited specifically to the Japanese market, which seems like an interesting and odd choice to me at the same time, but it kind of falls in line with what we've been seeing in recent times from Wizards of the Coast, right? Because we saw that they had those Korean art cards you could only get in the Korean market. We have seen Japanese specific promo tokens for the manga Destroy All Humankind. They can't be regenerated. And in fact, we've seen multiple iterations specifically of Japan getting this additional treatment. Look at War of the Spark and the planeswalkers that were created in the more anime style, which are lovingly referred to by some people as waifu walkers, right? So you've got this stuff that's primed towards the Japanese market, and that was actually brought up in yesterday's Twitch stream and was answered during the Q&A, where someone said, why do the Japanese players get these really cool products that we don't get here? And the answer that was given is that the card markets in different geographies are wildly different. So as a result, they take different approaches because certain things sell well in certain locales. So essentially what they're saying is, if they thought that those waifu walkers would sell well in North America, we would get them. But according to their market research, that's not really the case. I don't know how much that bears out. You know, how often do they go, well, let's put a bunch of this War of the Spark walkers out for these people in this waifu style in North America. If we don't get it, how are we supposed to know we don't like it, right? So there's two sides of it. But why are the Japanese set boosters 10 cards, right? We're looking at 1/6 of the cards just Thanos snapped out of existence. What is it that we're getting in exchange? There has to be something different, right? It can't just be that the booster packs are Japanese. Just, well, if you want your cards in Japanese, you get less cards. It can't be that. So there has to be some other cool little gimmick or aspect to it. Do you know what I mean? So I'm curious to see when we get more details about that. And speaking of gimmicks, you might not have known this, but if you get your hands on a copy of the Hitasugu with that yellow piping board or whatever, it's actually augmented reality usable. The people who make the AR pins, the augmented reality pins, I don't know, we've talked about them in previous videos where they basically like make little Magic the Gathering pins and stuff like that, but augmented reality stuff. We talked about the Kiki Jiki playmat that had augmented reality. So the Hitasugu falls under the same umbrella. You can actually use Pinfinity's sort of AR app with the Magic card itself, which is a nice little touch. And speaking of Pinfinity, if you didn't know, they are doing a couple of pin sets based on both the Street Fighter secret layer and the Little Walkers secret layer. So if you're somebody like me who happens to be a fan of both Magic the Gathering and pins, I just love them, man. I got a ton of little pins on my bag. They're just fun, right? There's something about pins, I don't know, especially metal ones, right? Anyways, that maybe not for you, but that is for me. Now, I want to talk about the special edition list cards. So I'm going to put some images up on the screen for you here. What you're looking at is on one side, a card from the Stranger Things secret layer. And on the other side, you're looking at the special edition reissue of this secret layer card. So in Streets of New Capenna, in Set Booster specifically, there is something known as the list. And in some cases, instead of getting an ad insert, you will get another Magic card placed in instead. So roughly 1 out of 8 of these cards will be a secret layer reissue of the Stranger Things cards, but redone in Magic the Gathering style. So I wanted to use this one as an example of what we're looking at. And if you would like me to go through all of the cards and go through all the flavor and everything like that, we can do it in a separate video. Just let me know. With this kind of a setup, I love the contrast between these two cards. The idea is they've taken Lucas, they've turned him into this mage. Her name is Bjorna, and she is the Nightfall Alchemist, right? So they've reconcepted these cards into characters that would exist in the world of Innistrad. So all of the Secret Lair Stranger Things reissues are all set on Innistrad, and I have to say, it really does ultimately change the nature of the card. When you take a look at the difference between the two, on the right hand side, you have a kid with a slingshot that definitely doesn't feel like Magic artwork. On the left hand side, you have I'm an old wizard! And she is just blasting magic all over the place, looking incredibly intense, right? So this is a great way to integrate non-magic into magic, essentially. But what I find really interesting is the kid with the slingshot actually works better with the ability of the card than this reissue version of it. And the reason for that is it only does 1 damage, right? This is tap, sack an artifact, do a damage to a target. Think about a kid with a slingshot. Just break something, grab a piece of it, put it in the slingshot, fire it off. Okay, makes perfect sense. 1 damage. You look at the artwork on Bjorna and you're like, that's 1 damage? She is blasting out in every direction like a souped up Vampire Survivors character, and that's 1 damage? Get out of here. But there are definitely some really cool flavor reimagining of these cards. Now, mechanically, they're identical. The abilities remain the same, right down to the Friends Forever. And I have to admit that Friends Forever looks hilarious on genuine Magic cards, right? In the most technical sense, the Stranger Things cards are genuine Magic cards, but you know what I mean. Things that exist within the normal flavor realm of Magic the Gathering. That has been shifting over time. But the high fantasy feel, these characters, giving them Friends Forever, seems kind of funny when you look at some of them. But let me know if you'd like to see a video on all of these, because we can easily go over all of those cards. That wraps up all the news we have to cover today. I got an awesome box full of Magic the Gathering in the mail tonight. Today, I should say. We're going to open it tonight in the live stream, so come on by if you like. Big thank you to all of my patrons. I'll leave some videos on the screen for you to enjoy, and I'll see you next time, my friends.